In front of me is the silver key to Michael Martin's most prized possession, the 1984 Martin Mercurio. And Eli and Grady has now converted the Martin Mercurio successfully into a flying car. And so today we're going to be learning about trust. And the question is that Eli wants to now give Flycar to his dad for Father's Day as a gift. But he's kind of struggling a little bit about whether he can actually trust his dad. And so we'll pick it up for part 2 of chapter 13, Resurrection. Eli sprang into action with a speech he had been rehearsing. Dad, what's your most precious commodity that you possess? Time, I suppose. Exactly. Eli triumphantly extended his index finger and began to wiggle it. My goal was to get you some of your life back. Father Time cannot reverse the clock, but you can at least maximize the time you still have left on this planet. Oh, really? How's that? Great question, Dad. What's the biggest time suck in your day? Definitely my commute. Right again. Calculating your average commute time per day. What if I told you there was a way to get roughly 167 hours of your life back each year? And how are we going to do that? Remember when you took me to the Museum of Flight in Seattle over Labor Day weekend a few years back, Eli asked. Yeah, I sure do. It was a drizzly day, if I remember correctly. Precisely. Remember the Taylor Aerocar 3, the prototype that could convert from a car into an airplane in approximately 5 minutes? Yeah, I do. That was a really amazing vehicle. Well, I hope you don't mind, but instead of 5 minutes, Grady and I were able to reduce the conversion rate of the car to plane in 15 seconds. Eli shrugged his shoulders. And, by the way, we used the Martin Mercurio to complete the project. We call it Flycar now. You knew about this? Michael Martin asked Grady. Grady raised his palms skyward and shrugged his shoulders in the exact same way Eli had just done earlier. Well, this is a little bit different than helping Eli with the vinegar and chalk volcano project at last year's science fair, Dad said, putting his index finger and his thumb together. Eli's did an informal inspection of Flycar. He walked around the entire vehicle looking for any dents or dings, the way a rental car agent looks over a returned vehicle at the airport. Finally, he ran his hand softly over the hood in a gesture of affection. Grady resumed this conversation with Eli's dad. Michael, your boy just wants to spend a little more time with you. This is his Father's Day gift to you. Do you want to give it a whirl or watch the video Grady just made of our second test flight? Eli asked, grasping his dad's hand. Sure. And exactly what happened on the first test flight? You wouldn't want to know, Grady and Eli simultaneously replied. They went inside and settled into the family room. Grady hooked up the video recorder to an oversized plasma television, pressed the rewind button, and then started the footage. Eli's dad sat on the leather sofa, stupefied at what he was watching. 5 minutes later, the video concluded when Eli safely landed Flycar in the backyard. Grady pressed the stop button and quietly exited the room to give father and son some much-needed catch-up time together. Eli's dad jumped up excitedly, as if he had been shot out of a circus cannon. Why didn't I think of this? He said, his mind racing. Invention always seems obvious after the fact, Dad, Eli said, reaching up and patting his dad's shoulder. Have you told anybody about this? Your little experiment here? Dad asked. Well, no, Eli said matter-of-factly. Well, what are you going to do now? Dad was now pacing back and forth in the family room like a caged lion. What I want to do is give you back your car so that you can commute to and from work really quickly. But Eli left the sentence hanging. But what? Dad asked. There's still one more hiccup with Flycar, Eli confessed. Well, yeah? Well, what's that? Dad asked, looking even more engaged. How to land it on top of Martin Mercurio's corporate headquarters downtown? Any ideas? Dad knew this question always brought out the best in his son. Eli snapped his fingers at once. Aircraft carriers. What? You lost me there, son. Aircraft carriers use massive hookups to stop the fighter jet moving forward motion, keeping them from falling off the sides of the flight deck. That's true. What would you expect that we do? Well, we'll need to build a hook mechanism on top of Martin Manor's corporate office, Eli said. That way we'll be able to safely land Flycar on the flat surface of the building and with a series of hooks that will halt its forward motion so it won't fly off the side of the building during your morning commute. Interesting, Dad said. You'll use the hook system and additional propellant to catapult the car off the side of the building and when you head home at the end of each day. How does that sound? Eli looked at his father suspiciously. Risky, son. Really risky. Nevertheless, Eli's dad was willing to make Flycar work. He put his best engineers on the project, giving them up to top security clearances. The team worked tirelessly to come up with a mechanism that would stop the forward progress of Flycar as the vehicle made its way down the landing in spaces not much bigger than a helicopter pad, and then to propel it forward off the roof. 6 weeks later, Project Rush Hour was ready to be tested. His father decided that the downtown test flight, which should be on the 4th of July, it would be quieter around the city early in the morning on the holidays, and it would cast the event in a patriotic glow. Once again, Eli was given the lead role as test pilot. Since he was the only one who had successfully landed the craft, he agreed on one condition: no media. Dad pushed back, but Eli could be stubborn and convincing when he wanted to, and so they came to an agreement. Eli was beginning to get a little suspicious of his father's motives for Flycar. The launch seemed less about patriotism and more about future profits for Martin Motors. His dad was even told Grady and Eli that he was going to get Flycar patented as an invention under their names. Why? Eli asked. You're just going to use it to get to and from work, right? What's the big deal? You don't want anyone stealing your ideas, do you? Dad said. I guess not. Remember the minivan, Grady? His dad was recalling the incidents from Grady's days as a line worker. Sure I do, Grady had declared. Great, then it's settled. We'll get Flycar patented in the morning. Eli's dad closed the deal by rubbing his son's spiky brown hair. After Eli's dad left the room, Grady and Eli looked over at each other dumbfounded. Grady put his fingers up to his lips to signal that Eli should not speak until the coast was clear. Was it just me, or did that seem a little weird? He said in a low voice. Definitely different, Eli said. And even though their names were on the Flycar patent, they couldn't help but feel that Michael Martin was in the driver's seat when it came to their invention. The second half of Chapter 13, Resurrection.